Given how Game 1 ended, how important was it for this team to bounce back this way?
The series doesn't start until you win one on the road.
Aspro with it. He'll high flip it back. Arvidsson with a step. Far circle. Backhand. He scores! Viktor Arvidsson. Saw the pressure coming from the backside at Malenstein. He'll hoist the backhand in. He scores! Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen. That's going to be E1. And the Boston Bruins are on top 2-0. Wow. Now McAvoy walks to the middle. Pasternak. High tip. They score! Here's Arvidsson 2-on-1. Shoots. He scores! Viktor Arvidsson with a snipe. Glove side. His second of the night. We've got ourselves a series.
That we do, Judd Surratt. We do have ourselves a series. The Bruins tying it up yesterday in Buffalo, bringing it back to the Garden on Thursday at 1 apiece. It's Wednesday, so you might be wondering, why the hell is the Hockey Hub on? But I wanted to give you guys a heads up. We talked about it a little in the previous shows. We have special, the word on my script here is special, but we have special coverage throughout the postseason, okay? So after every Bruins playoff game, we're going to have a special Hockey Hub edition, and it's going to depend on where the Bruins are skating. If it's going to be on the road, then that's going to be Adam, usually with Judd or Brick, an analyst on the road. And then if they skate at Warrior, at TD Garden, we're going to be doing it from there. So stay tuned. We're all figuring it out. We're going with the flow over here, but we're going to have Hockey Hub many more times a week.
A lot more Hockey Hub.
Yeah, a lot more Hockey Hub. And then you're not going to be on some of the episodes because you have can you describe your role? You're going to be reporter, behind the scenes.
We'll be doing more of like the social media reporting aspect of things. So as you said, the behind the scenes, especially once we are back at TD Garden. So of course we've all been counting down to Game 3 because it's just way different, the energy and being in your own building. But I'll be able to talk to you, the fans, during pregame and postgame, and then I'll be capturing behind the scenes things at TD Garden, and some fun one-on-ones with the players, hopefully. So make sure you guys stay tuned on all the social media platforms. You've probably already seen the pregame previews and the postgame recaps, so over at Nesson across the board.
Okay, awesome. So that's the setup for as long as the Bruins are in the postseason, which obviously we hope is a really long time, and they just made that even more possible with tying up the series yesterday instead of being down 2 games heading into Boston. So we're going to get into that. We've got clips. We've got fresh sound from today. The team decided to stay over. You never know if it's going to go to double, triple overtime, so the plan was to stay over anyway and then fly home today, which is what they're probably doing right now. But Marco Sturm, some of the players talked early, so we have fresh sound from that. We'll go over the highlights. We've got the goals. We've got the sound. We've got all the scrums because it was feisty.
Oh, yeah.
But before we get into it, Judd and Brick wrapped up the game yesterday, so let's hear it from them.
Well, the Boston Bruins really like their mentality that they played with for 55 minutes in Game 1. And, Brick, that's the way they started and played the bulk of this game. Here in Game 2, they were even grittier and got the desired response.
Their best period in Game 1, Judd, was the first period, and they wanted to replicate that in Game 2. They were going to make some adjustments, and they wanted to play a complete game, and they wanted to execute those adjustments that they were going to make. But it all had to start with getting to their game early, make sure they have a strong, solid first period. You know, don't be down in the hockey game. Don't chase the score, given the way and how quickly Buffalo scored in the third period in Game 1, and they were able to accomplish that.
And then with a broad brush, some of the things that we were focused on in our open prior to Game 2, how would that second line perform for the Boston Bruins, and what would Charlie McAvoy respond with here in Game 2?
Yeah, and the Zacha line, they had a rough night in Game 1. You know, the numbers suggest, the stat line, it was just a -3 for all 3 players, and they didn't get any breaks, and nothing went their way, and they became a bit of a scapegoat. But you got to love the way Marco Sturm handled it. He talked to the line as a group, and he challenged them just to be better. I'm going to throw you right back at Thompson. We're going to get the better. You guys are going to respond, and they did. Arvidsson with the first goal, Zacha with a power play goal, but beyond that, it's the way they played with the puck. They incorporated what the Bruins wanted to do in Game 2, which was to have more offensive zone time, more puck touches, without sacrificing the way they play in the neutral zone to slow down the speedy Sabres.
Well, some storylines are starting to emerge, and maybe the first thing that comes to mind, the Bruins special teams has had the better of the Sabres here in the first 2 games.
Yeah, you know, it's great to score goals and it's great to have a lethal power play, but you need penalty killing in the postseason. And the Bruins, you know, it was hot and cold all year. They ended up right in the middle of the pack, basically, or towards the bottom numerically, but it's what you do with your adjustments and how you defend and how important your penalty killing is at the right times in the hockey game when you need the penalty kill. And all the penalty killers should be proud here through the first 2 games of getting the job done. They're working in conjunction with each other. They're aggressive at the right times. They know when to just hold their position with their sticks and their body position, and it's really paying off. You know, if Buffalo can score in their power play, it will carry over into their 5-on-5 play.
And Lindy Ruff is going to have some questions ahead of Game 3. What does he make of Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen? He got yanked early in the third period in Game 2.
Yeah, he let in a backhand dump in by Morgan Geekie, which was a gift goal for the Boston Bruins. But then it's how do you respond? How do the Sabres respond? How do the Bruins respond? The Bruins respond because they got a power play opportunity shortly thereafter, and that's the time to score a power play goal. You know, you got some doubt in the Sabres. Your goaltender is maybe going to be pulled. You're not sure. And it was the redirect by Zacha on a well-designed power play goal, and now it's 3-0 before the second period ends.
And maybe the last thing, because the series is now going to switch to Boston for Games 3 and 4, Marco Sturm will have the advantage of the last change and some emotion in that building.
Yeah, and I don't think they want to really tinker with their lineup or their game plan for Game 3. And we saw what the experience is here in Buffalo with their fan base not having playoffs for 14, 15 years. Think about how excited TD Garden, their fan base, will be, given the fact that the Bruins were a dominant home team this year.
We cannot wait. Thursday night, 7 o'clock puck drop from TD Garden.
Okay, they hit on a lot of big topics I want to talk about. Obviously, eventually we'll talk about the TD Garden home crowd.
Yeah.
Use that to advantage. I love the last change, you know, to see how he's going to do matchups, that being Marco Sturm. I want to zero into on Marco Sturm's being his first playoffs. He keeps calling himself a rookie coach.
Yeah.
But I think there's so much there. No offense to Paul Maurice, but he drove me absolutely nuts. But when he was, you know, in the playoffs and talking to the media, but he was really smart and almost manipulative, almost calculated.
Maniacal.
Yes, exactly. See how Marco Sturm handles what he says and what he doesn't say and how he approaches things. So that's a topic of discussion. And there's so much more. There's chippiness, Casey. We have the whole show to get into it. Mm-hmm. If you don't mind, you can take it wherever you want. I just want to start with Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen. Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen.
I think it's so much fun to say. I don't know why there's such a stress point on that.
I don't know either. As someone with a long, complicated name, just learn it.
You understand.
Figure it out, and that's it. But Jack Edwards, broadcaster, of course, Jack. He's probably not watching this, but he was watching the game. So he had so many fun sayings, but one of them was tumbling muffin. You got a tumbling muffin, and he texted me with the effect, the explosive effect, right after Morgan Geekie scored, because the puck was like a tumbling muffin, and he wrote tumbling muffin. I lost my mind. That was so much fun. Shout out Jack. But no, that in Game 1. Razor, who of course was a goalie, was all the reads were on Ukko UPL, and he was like, he looks out of place. He actually was in that final game that they played on March 25th, the Casey Middlestat goal. He pointed out how he was like all over the place and not, you know, kind of owning his net. So out of place, anxious with his first playoff series, kind of rattled, just did not look composed. And they're like, he's like, they need to test him more.
Yes.
And so now the discussion is, are they talking about that in the room? Is it going to be Alex Lyon that's going to get the start? But either way, the Bruins have the goalie advantage here. And whoever it is that's going to get the start in net, or if there's going to be a switch up, like, I'm not saying all shots are, you know, I know there's a danger of sometimes shooting and then the team going the other way if you have a quality shot, all that. But, like, you got to test the goalies more. And yesterday was a good example of why.
No, absolutely. And, like, what was really interesting, too, is, like, we've talked about the fact that the goalie advantage goes to Swayman, but it comes back to the composure, and I think we started to see the unraveling happen a little bit. And then if they even look to Alex Lyon, we kind of talked about this a little bit off camera, him coming in and getting flustered by Tanner Jeannot, I feel like there's also the mental advantage for the Bruins over the Sabres goaltending, at least. So when you're testing him, you also have the ability to get in his head versus the just putting shots on him also. And then some of the deceptive approaches. I mean, I loved Viktor Arvidsson's opening goal because when you're watching it in slow motion, it's just one of those things where you're like, is he going to pass it? Is he going to shoot it? And that's where you saw him throw him off. So knowing that there's a few guys on this roster that can have some of those deceptive approaches, like, I feel like there's also going to be a mental angle where they can test Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen or even Alex Lyon, who very much got out of character because he was flustered when he did come into that situation. So that was a big one. And I think that it's a risk versus reward thing. I think it is worth the risk of getting more shots on him because you should be able to trust this team to get the rebounds and get those second and third opportunities opportunities, and that was a big point of emphasis for this team. And I think it paid off for them. His rebound control, per a couple of the goaltenders that were talking about it, and I think Razor even touched on it in the first game, was a little looser in comparison to last night. You could tell that he tried to be a bit sharper, but the unraveling was because they were able to get more shots on him.
Yeah, and then obviously that geeky goal didn't help, and then you get a power play goal immediately, or whatever, shortly after that, you know what I mean? So that, and then we saw the change in the third period. Alex Line, I think we're going to show a little later on in the show what you talked about, about Tanner Jeannot and the crew.
I like to find the mental angle, because that is one of the differences in the playoffs, is like which team can kind of come out a bit more mentally sound, and you're seeing where
100%.
it's working against certain teams at this point of the postseason and where it's working in favor of. So that's what I mean by like just seeing the tempers flare, but like the reaction. There was more reaction in terms of getting flustered and pissed off and, you know, chirping back and forth on the other side, and the goalies were involved.
So much of it is mental, and I think especially when you have a certain pressure to uphold. So if the Bruins can win the next 2 games at home and then they go back to Buffalo with like up 3-1, let's say, all the pressures, like we can't lose this in front of our home fans. We had such a good run, blah, blah, blah. I know there's so much more that plays into that in terms of technicality and X's and O's, but you want to put them in that position. Even 3-2, like I don't care that it's 3-1 in an elimination game where they're in their own head. We saw that happen on the other side with the Bruins, unfortunately, a couple playoffs ago when they were up 3-1 at home to Florida. They couldn't close it out, and then they lost in 7, and it was devastating. But anyway, absolutely mental game. So we'll touch on that. I know you love Viktor Arvidsson. 2 goals for him. Marco Sturm, you know, the guys talked about it, how he called out the second line, and he had a conversation with all of them. He definitely talked about it to the media as well. But I wasn't there, but from everything I pick up, I love his approach. Gave the guys space after the loss. He's like, they don't need to hear from me. They know what happened, which I like. Trust them.
Yes.
Shows that. And I know if he felt the effort wasn't there, he would be in that room telling them like what the hell's going on.
Right.
But he said he felt they played a full, you know, almost 60, but 55, and then they let up. So they knew what they needed to do. Gave them a bit of a break. And then he talked to them individually, and he got the response he wanted out of the second line. Your boy, Viktor Arvidsson, 2 goals.
It's so cool to see everyone going crazy on social media about Viktor Arvidsson and what he means for this team and what he did. Picked up his 16th, well, I guess he had 2 goals, so 17th, I want to say, playoff or career playoff goal last night. But it's just like the connectivity that's there. I think that's the other reason why it was so easy for Marco Sturm to trust that, you know, the expectation is higher for them and they can rise to the standard. But it was great because I caught up with Viktor Arvidsson before the series started.
Yeah.
And he talked about the fact that like they have such a good read on one another where they're going to be, but it comes down to how they find him. So he's trying to make sure that he puts himself in the best position possible to be found, to create those scoring chances and opportunities. But then, like, you know, he didn't get weary, or you saw 0 exhaustion out of him no matter how much the Buffalo Sabres went after him, because time and time again, Brick and Judd on the broadcast are like, they're just consistently going after Arvidsson. He's escaping out of them and then still following up with a chance and opportunity. So he led with shots on goal. I'm pretty sure he led with scoring chances as well yesterday, but the tenacity really helps, I think, electrify the entire line. But it's great to see that there's an opportunity for him to kind of redeem what he's so capable of doing and what he's done and accomplished previously in his career.
Yeah, 100%. Had a deep run. Obviously, he came from Edmonton. I think it was just 15 games there. I'll have to look at his game stats. But anyway, you know, understands the intensity of a playoff series, et cetera, et cetera. So speaking of intensity, we talked about the chippiness, physicality. Nikita Zadorov spoke about that, and then defending your goaltender.
I mean, two great games. I mean, I feel like we only played about 5 minutes last game. Thought we were controlling it, and today was great. I mean, we didn't give him anything, pretty much 5-on-5. A lot of penalties, both ways, 4-on-4, and give guys credit. You know, the guys who don't play power play, they stay ready. The guys who don't play PK, they stay ready. So I think it's a great team overall effort.
They get to 4-2. What was the key to kind of just regrouping and settling down?
Yeah, just stay calm. I mean, obviously, they have a bunch of skill up there. They're going to push at the end. There's no give up in anybody's game in this league, you know what I mean? It's playoff hockey, so couple things went in, you know, like we took a timeout, we stay calm, you know, just got to shut it down.
When you guys went up 4-0, did you expect the nastiness to kind of ramp up a little in that?
I mean, I feel like it was nasty from the first shift, from first game. I mean, it's a playoff emotions, intensity. It's always going to be up there.
How important is it when they're crashing that hard, every whistle, for you guys to be there to clear out the crease like you've been doing?
Yeah, I mean, when I grew up, all my coaches were telling me to protect my goalie. So when somebody slashes my goalie, that's my job to step in. So I don't think if they want to keep doing it, they're going to keep getting it. So, I mean, that's how it is.
What are you seeing from Jeremy in these first 2 games as well?
His calmness, like it's super important to see from the goalies. His confidence is great. I mean, like I said, I don't want to give a lot of compliments to goalies. I don't like to jinx it, but it's been awesome. Yeah.
Oh, I love that sound.
I loved that part.
Oh, yeah, he doesn't like jinxing or whatever.
Yeah, he doesn't give compliments to goalies.
I just love, I mean, we talked about it pre-playoffs, but this is so, the style of hockey, playoffs is right into Nikita Zadorov's identity. And I know from last year to this year, he's taken such a big jump in the room with the team, and I know he would hate hearing that. Like, he's like, I feel like I was great last year too. You know what I mean? But with fans too. And this is the Nikita Zadorov that they got for these reasons. And of course, he was asked about all the scrums and all the physicality, and he talked about he learned to protect his goalie, but we're going to see that after every whistle, and that's what he's made for.
Absolutely. And it was funny too, because like heading into the series, they were talking about how much he was made for this, and then everyone was like expecting everything we saw last night to kind of translate into game 1 at first, but I'm sure that they want to stay out of the box just a little bit more. Interesting conversation with our producer Brendan earlier about, it could be a little costly to have too many of your best players in the box at the same time.
For
but
sure.
I think the intimidation factor, and I feel like Brick and the guys have talked about this, like knowing that Nikita Zadorov is going to come at you if you make a play like that, that can eventually start to ring true for the intimidation side of it. Tanner Jeannot adding intimidation. Mark Kastelik, which he loves the fact that he can fight this year.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that health has been on his side. So I feel like they all feed off of each other on that, and that's what makes it better to watch the Bruins play their style of hockey in the postseason, and something that they were able to get back to for yesterday's game.
Yep, talked about toughness. It's not just hits, fights, scrums around the net, all of that. I did kind of hold my breath when the Sabres scored 2 goals.
Oh, I know.
I was like, I mean, I feel like everyone was, even though you're up 2, but the goalie pulled for over 5 minutes. I was like, oh my God, but
it felt like such a long time.
That was a long 5 minutes. Yeah, I was holding my breath. All right, guys, we got to send it to break. Like I said on this show, the Bruins talked earlier today from Buffalo before they decided to fly back home to Boston. So we've got all that fresh sound, Marco Sturm, some of the players. We're going to play that for you coming up. We'll be right back after this. You're looking at TD Garden, obviously, but the series shifts back to the Garden in front of the Bruins home fans, which is just as loud and crazy as Sabres fans. We've been making such a big deal about the Sabres fans because it's been so long since they've had a playoffs. Obviously, such a hockey town, et cetera, but I know Bruins fans are going to show them up at the Garden. This is the remainder of the schedule. We know we need at least 5 games, so it starts tomorrow at 7 at the Garden. Our pregame's going to be at 6, and then a matinee, right? It's a matinee, 2 p.m. Not 1, not 4, somewhere in the middle, but a 2 p.m. game, which is going to be so good on Sunday at the Garden to our pregame. It's an hour before each game is going to be at 1, and then timing for the rest of the series TBD, but like I said, we know where at least we're going to play to Game 5. Marco Sturm and the crew in Buffalo right now, or at least they're flying home, but they were this morning, and they spoke. Let's hear from the head coach, Sturm.
Again, we did a lot of good things. We played our style of hockey, I would say, definitely more than game 1. And it was a good game, but it's end of the day, it's only 1 game. Felt good yesterday. Today we're going to regroup, fly home, and try to do the same thing at home.
You really leaned on Hampus and Charlie down the stretch there with Zadorov and Pete both in the box. Just what can you say about the job those guys did?
Yeah, no, those are the times and moments that you need the big guys to step up, and they did. So yeah, Charlie, both of them were excellent. I think it was the first time I see Hampus with the red face on because he was out there all the time. But no, they grinded it out, and all our D. Even Aspie, they had some really good shifts where grinded it out, and that's what we need. And we responded with a goal after that. So it was a lot of good things, and we just got to continue doing that.
I know you addressed the timeout last night, but I'm wondering, the conversation during that timeout, is it technical? Is it more emotional? What is
Yeah, probably more emotional than anything. It's just, kind of find a reset button there and calm everything down and calm the crowd down too. So it's more that than anything else.
Marco, do you think much about the chess match and what they might try to do now to counteract after losing last night?
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, that's playoff. That's always happens, and you could see already, like on their power play, they tweaked a few things in the third, so it's starting already. So we're going to be prepared, and I'm a big believer in our game. I got to make sure that we're going to do the stuff we do well. Continue to do well, and that for me is always the biggest focus.
Have you learned anything about being a head coach in the playoffs that you didn't know before you came into this?
Probably not. I don't know. Probably not. I couldn't tell you anything right now. What really surprised me? Not really. So. Yeah. Yeah, I know it's going to be great. It's going to be great. We've been such a good home team, and we have the best crowd in the league, and can't wait to share our game and our joy to play this game at home. We want to play with emotions, but also we have to keep it in check and make sure we do the right thing. But yeah, can't wait to go home.
How encouraged are you by the overall sample of what you've seen so far?
Of
Both games here.
Yeah, no. If you look at all the 6 periods, if I put them all together, I really like 5 of them for sure. And coming here to Buffalo and like 5 periods, that's pretty damn good. We got to win. We wanted one win. We got one. So overall, give my guys a lot of credit. They done a tremendous job. They executed exactly the things we wanted to do very well. So far, still not perfect, but we're definitely on the right track.
It looked like Swayman was calling for that timeout there as well. Were you already calling it, or did that help you make the decision?
Yeah, I actually didn't even notice it till after the game, and he came up to me, and I didn't even see it. No, it's all good. I mean, he felt it, I felt it, so that's probably a good thing. And we just didn't want that. What happened in game 1, we didn't want to happen again. That's all. And we had the good thing was we had a nice cushion, with 4 goals and now with 2 goals. Now it's getting tight, so there was still time enough just to regroup.
Higgins draws that second period penalty late. What does that say about his ability to drive the net to kind of occupy?
Yeah, he's not afraid. We looked at it today. He finished checks and tried to get in there. And he's trying hard. He's trying his best. He knows it's a tough league. It's you don't get too many opportunities, but he also, I think, is smart enough to recognize to do other things right, and that could be one of them. Just drawing penalties. That's okay.
With how well Jeremy is seeing the puck right now, they're going to bring bodies, everything. What is your belief level in terms of just the protection and the perimeter?
Yeah, no, I mean, we have. I think we have the size back on our back end to give him that view, what he needs to have. Again, they're gonna push. We know that, but long as we manage the puck very well, and long as we try to keep it keep them on the outside, I think it's going to be a good thing. The good thing about Sway is we know he's going to have the first shot all the time. And we just got to make sure we're going to clean house right after that.
One day I'm going to write a book called The Benefits of Timeouts in Life. You take a 30-second timeout before you send that text. It's completely different. You know what I mean?
One.
Everyone needs a timeout sometimes.
That's a complete game changer.
That is a complete game changer. Swayman was calling for a timeout. I've timed out myself so many times, it saved my ass.
I probably should get better at doing that.
You should honestly take a timeout.
I need to take a timeout.
Think of my voice. Everyone at home, if you're impulsive, just take a timeout and then regroup. And that's what the Bruins did. That timeout, I think, was actually the play of the game to me. Swayman was calling for it. You heard that. Marco Sturm said, I didn't even see it till afterwards. I was thinking the same thing. We were feeling it. I do think just that 30 seconds resettled everything.
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like you said it, like we're all sitting there holding our breaths those last couple of minutes there. So imagine what's going through their minds. And when the pace kind of gets away from them a little bit, you lose your game.
Yeah.
And something that they did so well yesterday that as a fan, I'm freaking out while watching the game, and I'm like, it was the way that they were clearing out the puck, but it wasn't just like this panic play of trying to just continue to shovel it out. Of course, there's those moments because of the pressure that Buffalo can apply, but it was the fact that they were just doing so with so much fluidity and so much connectivity. So when you start losing that, seeing that you were able to commit to having more structured breakouts, something that Marco Sturm has emphasized since day one at training camp, I feel like I would need a second to just be like, hang on, I got to catch my breath, I got to breathe, I got to see the ice all over again. So
especially with the Sabres crowd, like on you,
yeah,
like, the roar and whatever, they're getting a little bit of life again. You just need to calm them down too.
Yeah. That's such a great way to put it, because so many people have described it as feeling like the audience is literally on top of you in that arena.
Right,
so,
right.
You have it there, why not use it? But the ability to settle down and make sure that you get back to forcing them into what you guys were doing so well all night, 100%.
A lot of talking points, obviously not just what's on the list here, but do you want to take it anywhere in particular? PK, you're talking about breakouts, third period, I'm not going to call them collapses. The first one was a third period collapse. The second one, you give them a little bit of life. Anything you want to kind of point out from yesterday or for the first two games that you've noticed that you want the Bruins to keep doing or do better of?
I think the point out of the PK, because if there's nothing else that we've all learned when it comes to watching these psycho postseason games, is that, a power play goal or lack thereof can make or break teams. So like for the Bruins to try to regain their stride on the power play, to at least pick up one in the previous game, loss be damned, and then pick up one last night, which definitely helped add some jolt. The Sabres can't say the same thing,
right,
because they haven't been able to land a power play goal. So I think that speaks volumes. You guys heard it from Brick that, he feels like they've been hot and cold all season long. So to come together right now and to be so efficient against so many sharp shooters on the Buffalo Sabres team, I think that so many of these guys deserve flowers for that. But something, of course, that stuck out to me was just the play of Fraser Minten. He had a big clear out. I think it was during the first period, during one of Buffalo's first power plays. And I'm not going to go down the same loop and drum of like his composure and whatnot, but the way that they can feed off of each other when those big plays happen, and clear outs have been such a hindrance and an issue, especially in some of these games that the Bruins kind of get backed into a corner. But just to kind of see like the presence that he can have on the penalty kill, and then the way that he can turn around and try to generate offense. He got in front of the net a couple of times yesterday. You saw how bad he wanted to get a goal. Ended up whiffing on a pass or two to try to make something happen. But what really stood out to me was the first period power play opportunities by Buffalo. He was very much in the mix to make sure that the PK unit was able to shut things down.
Yeah, 9 for 9 through 2 games in the series. Not that Buffalo's power play was the best in the league by any means, but still, whatever, it doesn't matter. Like you said, you let them in with one. That one, the Bruins had back-to-back power plays in the first period, couldn't get anything done, but then when you finally do capitalize, even if it's 1 for 4, 1 for 5, it's so important.
And it means all the more in the postseason.
Yeah, absolutely. Really quick, we have a minute or so before we have to go to break, but you mentioned Minten. I know that's more on the PK as opposed to on his line, but I'm just surprised how calm this kid line has been and how costly. I don't know. It's not the word right I'm looking for.
Liability. They haven't been a liability considing their lack of
for you. Yeah, they're not a liability. Imagine if I did the show by myself. It'd be the worst.
It's fine. I've said it before. We're here.
We're here for each other. Yeah. Not a liability, and I love that. And I guess you know, the center often drives the line, or is the driver of the line, but often dictates the tone is what I meant. I guess you credit Fraser Minten for that.
100%. So I alluded to the recaps earlier, but that was a part of one of my recaps and kind of something that I'm doing on social media, a little playoff coffee with Case, but it was talking about the fact that you saw in instances during the game when they were trying to make a push to get more offense going, you saw Marat Husnudinov kind of taking a few more risky attempts on the puck. And then you saw that translate over to James Higgins. That confidence doesn't come in without trusting your centerman.
Right.
And there was a play that came down the right side from Marat Husnudinov, and the puck almost kind of got turned over there, and Fraser Minten was there to make sure, like, okay, I'm going to settle things down. He was able to clean up what could have turned into a mess. So what almost became a turnover, Fraser Minten ends up in control of the puck and cycles it back in to try to reload for an opportunity to score.
Right.
So I feel like I had it on my list of things to kind of try to talk to the guys about, but like, I wonder if now that they're starting to build more chemistry and cohesion, if there's a level of freedom that's going to start to play out in Marat's game and James's game, because there was moments and glimmers yesterday, at least in my personal opinion, that you started to kind of see some of that freedom come to life. Brick also had a breakdown that I loved of James Higgins having a back check, and he got possession of the puck in the neutral zone, passed it to Fraser Minten, made himself available on the left side for a pass, and just the pace in which that started to come to life. Like, it's just, I wish these guys had more time together, because to think about what could be happening, you know, at this point in the playoffs, but it's very much there, and we're all just like waiting for it to click because it's right on the doorstep. But you said it, it all starts with Fraser Minten honesty.
Yeah, no, and I love all your points about the opportunities and wish they had more time together to get this going. But, you know, if the Bruins do continue to get ahead in games, maybe 2-3 goal lead, you might see a little bit more of that depending on, you know, the role in this scenario. But only time will tell. Game 3 is going to be Thursday at 7 at the Garden. Our pregame's at 6. We've got to send it to break. On the other side of the break, we're going to hear from Tanner Jeannot, Andrew Peeke. We're going to show some of the rough stuff because there was a lot of it. And we love playoff hockey. We'll be right back after this. Welcome back. We were talking about the kid line, the
seen out of them game 1, game 2. You talked about the composure, the poise. They are all playing way more mature beyond their years, especially considering their first postseason experience. But
yeah, beyond their playoff experience, really.
Exactly.
Yeah, like you could have, like I said, 5 years in the NHL and no postseason, and it's different as we, you know, talk about Tage Thompson, Pekka Luukkonen, and everything. You know what I mean? So yeah, they definitely are. I kind of like the Cub line for them too.
I liked it too.
I like the kid line when Pasta's on it, just because it's like ironic, and he's called them a bunch of kids playing. So I want that to be the kid line. The Cub line, Bear Cub, all that. I like that way more.
We'll have to give Marcus credit for that one.
Okay, why don't we start calling it the Cub line?
We're going to call it the Cub line, so as long as everybody knows who we're talking about. But yeah, I loved that tweet just because there was, again, there's always, everyone has an opinion these days, but like just because you're not seeing goals, there was a number of people that are like, you know, they're close, but you're still not seeing enough, and it's just like, no, they're doing a lot of small details very well. And like, I also tweeted yesterday, anyone who thought James Higgins was going to get bodied in the NHL owes him an apology.
Oh, right.
But look, I mean, to be what, 5'10", 5'11", under 180 pounds, like he was using his body to make sure that he was in position to have possession of the puck.
I think.
Or something to the looks of it, and then like going back and forth, basically letting Jason Zucker know, like, I'm not backing down. So if you thought that was going to happen, good luck. So there's just these feisty moments, but also it's the fact that like he's not avoiding physicality. He is just using his body in a smart way, and when he needs to use his body, he's using his body. So I feel like we're going to just see more things stem from the kid line. But in case anybody wanted to see what the effort actually looked like, 48.5%, I think it said there, is great effort for your first postseason.
Yeah, and when it comes to James Higgins, I like your tweet, and I do agree. And I think I was one of those people that was like, watch out, physicality. I still think he could be a target of being picked on, just like, hey kid, welcome to the NHL. in frustration, you know, like laying a big hit and whatever. That could still happen in this series. But to your point about him using his body the right way for as little as he is, great point there.
Yeah, there was a battle on the boards at one point too, and it almost looked like the puck could have escaped him. But again, his body positioning on things, he kept using his skate to try to make sure that he's the one who came out with the puck. So you can just tell where he's using his mind to be like, okay, I can use my body in this instance, I can use my smarts in this instance. But for just kind of the people that were like, oh my God, he's going to get tossed around like a rag doll.
Right.
That hasn't happened and isn't happening, but I think everyone has that welcome to the NHL moment, right?
Yeah, no, for sure.
Stanley and Mitten going at it yesterday. You saw Stanley trying to like taunt Fraser Mitten at a degree, so it doesn't take your first game or your first couple of games to get that feeling. I mean, Fraser's played a whole season, and in the postseason, that's probably the first time I've seen him taunted by someone.
Yeah, and it's gonna get so much crazier as the series continues. One of the guys who you wouldn't want to fight is Tanner Jeannot. He was involved in the physicality, and he spoke this morning as well.
That's a game we've tried to play all year long, so just wanted to continue to establish that, be hard on their defensemen. Obviously, they got a lot of speed and skill back there, so we want to make it hard on them, and it's something we can do. So I thought we did a good job of getting pucks deep and getting in on the forecheck, being physical, and getting the puck in their end a little bit.
How do you balance kind of making sure you guys take care of Swayman, you know, clear out the crease, but not get too much?
Yeah, I mean, we're going to defend our goalie. If there's some shots on him that we don't like, then obviously we're going to defend him. But yeah, we need to be smart about it, and we don't want to be putting ourselves shorthanded. So something we're going to talk about, but yeah, we're always going to be there for our goalie. There's no question about that.
During the third period of the chaotic scene, saw you guys talking a lot to the bench. How much do you enjoy that back and forth chirping with the other team?
I mean, enjoy it. I don't know. It's just like it's part of the game. It's something I can do, and just try to calm things down a little bit. You know, try to just yeah. I mean, you guys probably only know half the story about what's going on the ice, but
we'll listen to the rest of it.
I think a lot of it just kind of stays on the ice, but yeah, it's just something trying to calm things down, and that's a job that I can do for my team, so I'm just going to do that.
Is that something you're proud of, that if you're there and you're staring down guys, that a lot of guys won't mess with other people?
I don't know. It's the playoffs. Like, everyone's stepping up. Everyone's playing more physical. So it's something that I can do. And if I can do a job for my team, I'm going to do that. And that's my only focus. If I can do something to stop my teammates from getting taken advantage of, then I'm going to do that. So yeah, that's the mindset.
Marco was talking about 5 out of 6 periods here. I thought were really good for you guys. How did you see these 2 games?
Yeah, I think we're really happy with with a lot of the play. We were playing our game good defensively. There's that game 1 there, a couple breakdowns, and then they got some momentum, and we just couldn't break it. So last night we wanted to learn from our mistakes, and we played a really good 40 minutes going into the third, and so we knew that we just needed to continue to do the same thing, stick together, play good defensively, not give them easy offense, and yeah, they made a little bit of a push, but we did a good job breaking it this time, and Sway stood tall for us again, and yeah, just continue to move on.
Can you speak on your perspective of how the defense played yesterday? A few of those guys had a lot of ice time afterward, went home. What do you think of what was going on behind you?
Yeah, I thought the D had a great game. They were moving pucks quick, getting it forward for us to go forecheck, and McAvoy, you say he's been leading us all year long, so no surprise there, and I feel like everybody stepped up, and everyone needs to. It's the playoffs, and everyone's going to have their turn to do a job, and when it's your turn, you just do it.
How much are you looking forward to your first home playoff games of the year?
Yeah, it's going to be incredible. I know TD's going to be rocking. I've been on the other side of it, not in playoffs, but even in regular season. So it's going to be even more elevated, I think, and it's going to be really nice to have the fans on my side this time.
Oh, Tanner Jeannot. You know, it's so funny, Casey. I've been covering hockey for so long. I don't know why this always surprises me. It doesn't. Like, the formula usually is the nicest guy in the room ends up being the guy that, like, beats everyone up, right? Mark Hassel, you can say the same thing. But got to know Tanner a little bit better on the siblings trip, his brother Chad as well. Like, they truly are salt of the earth. And maybe that's why. Maybe the salt of the earth guys
that's where they
defend their
let out their
teammates.
energy.
Or let out their energy
everywhere else. Yeah.
Yeah, or they're just like, I'm sticking up for what's right. Like, I don't know. And I love Tanner Jeannot, and I'm sure Bruins fans love him too. And so intimidating on the ice. And I loved it. He was like, yeah, you don't even know the half of it. And then Jim was like, tell us more. He's like, no, that stays on the ice. I mean, that's it. That's hockey. That's part of the game, the physicality. You notice how he was getting under the skin of Mr. Alex Lyon.
Oh yes, and we saw that, like, the goals that he's picked up this season have been net front. So I feel like in some of those moments he might be verbally getting in their head, mentally getting in their head. But Alex Lyon didn't like some of the movement coming from Tanner Jeannot last night, and he got to the point where he basically said, "Do you want to go at it?" I would have died if this ended up resulting in anything, but you can see right here on Tanner's face, it's just like, it's not going to happen.
You want to go?
Yeah, but like, to get under the goalie's skin to that degree, yeah, Tanner Jeannot's doing his job.
See, I kind of love it from Alex Lyon, but you're right, that's not his role. Like,
no, and you want your goalie to be feisty, but like, we talked about this earlier.
Laughing.
Exactly, we talked about this earlier in the show, though. Like, do you see anybody get under Swayman's skin like that?
Right, not in this series, but I have.
You do see him.
But not
you do see him shove a little bit, but like, he handles it in a quick, like, whatever manner. But like, when you see more character out of Swayman, I think it's when he's shaking himself up after making a big play or whatever, like, smiling at himself and crazy. But I don't know. I think Tanner Jeannot's helping us out, guys, and giving that extra mental leverage there, because Alex Lyon's not going to like him being in front of him. And if he causes him to make a mistake, you know what I mean? Like, bite the bait a little bit.
Right.
It could turn into a bit of a snowball effect.
You absolutely need to curb that as a goaltender, for sure. Like, that's the job of the guys around your crease. That's the job, to do that. But like, as soon as you get rattled and you I don't know if it's a cross check or a shove or a push, and then you're in your head. No, absolutely. So.
And you're pinpointing a guy to go after. Like, that's not going to be the last he sees of Jeannot if he's back in net.
I mean, Tkachuk and Bennett in the Florida series, like, they were so good at rattling everyone, but especially around the goaltender. Just like, get out of my way.
Yeah.
Andrew Peeke also talked, so let's hear from him, and we'll continue our conversation in a sec. But let's hear from Andrew Peeke.
Yeah, that was big. We came into the game with the right mindset, obviously. Kind of like game one slipped through our fingers, and, had a great bounce back, defended hard, and obviously got some timely goals.
How much did you enjoy the physicality, especially in that third period melee?
Yeah, it was fun, obviously. I think our team kind of thrives off that in a way. It brings life to our bench. Obviously, when we bring it back to Boston, get the crowd into it. I wouldn't say it's ideal having Z and I in the box and leaving the other D-men out to hang, but, I saw what Z said yesterday. As a defenseman, when someone takes a whack at your goalie, you got to be there to step in, and, maybe it went too far. It's up for debate or whatever, but, no, it's obviously, I think, plays into the way we like to play.
Is that part of sending a message for as the series goes on?
Yes and no. I think it's just part of hockey in a way. Obviously they were down, 4-0 at that point, right? They're looking at just, kind of stir things up, get their crowd into it and all that. So, we have to be smart at the same time too, right? Like I said, we can't have two defensemen being in there for 12 minutes, but in the moment, right, it's hard to, kind of just let things pass, and it's just finding that balance in that line of, playing smart and playing hard.
Did you understand why you keep both?
In the moment, not necessarily. I went back to the bench. I didn't even know I was in the box to begin with. But, went back to the box and figured I was out there, scrapping it up for a bit there, and figured that was, kind of the reason why.
What are those conversations like between you and Z when you're in the box like that, and your other defensemen are battling?
Yeah, obviously, we want to be out there and battle with them, right? But, everyone has jobs to do, and, Z was protecting Sway and, felt that, Benson, took a hack at him, and then the scrum just kept on going and going and going, and felt like it was never ending in a way, and, we have to step in at a certain point and, continue to, defend our team and, defend the logo.
The PK's perfect 10 for 10 this series. What do you think you guys are doing
Structurally, we've just been good. Clearing pucks. They haven't been able to generate too much off entries. And then, in the zone, I think we're protecting the good areas of the ice. We're not letting seam passes go back and forth. We're kind of keeping things on the outside. And, we obviously have a really good goalie, too, that's making some big saves. So, all that combined is a pretty good recipe.
For people that can't hear what's going on down there on the ice, what's it sound like for the in those conversations and people are shouting back and forth? Is that entertaining? Is it funny? Is it nasty? What's it like in that?
It's all the above, right? It's it's high intense situations. Playoffs are, where it all comes out the most, and it's just high intensity, and then obviously you add in the crowd and everything that kind of comes with it, and it's a fun time being down there, and these are what we strive to play in these types of games, and we enjoy it and we love it. So bringing the energy back to Boston.
You a good chirper?
Sometimes, yeah. I'll keep. Yeah, no, we're excited to see what TD Garden's going to bring, for us. And, the fans have been unbelievable all year, and the support they've shown us. And, it's a big goal of ours to get 1 win here in Buffalo, and we've accomplished that. Now we have to take it back to Boston and, take 2 there.
All right, so many things to get out of that, but we were kind of talking about physicality. One thing I want to bring up, because it was a question to Marco Sturm about Swayman seeing the puck so well. Because he is. Mm-hmm. But if you're the opposing team, when that goalie's seeing the puck so well, what do you want to do? You want to take away his eyesight. Yeah. So you want to get in the way, in lanes.
All the screening.
Yeah, screening. I was going to say blocking. Screening. And if you're screening, you're usually annoying and you're in the way of the goaltender. So just how that's going to pile up and turn into more scrums, and how as a defender you have to defend that, not screen your own goaltender, not cross-check, not take. That's a tough position to be in. It's playoffs, so they got to let a little bit more go. But someone like Peak, Zadorov, making room for your goaltender without getting in the way too.
Yeah,
a fine line
to make sure that he can continue to have a visual there, and then also to that point, getting in the mix there to make sure that you're blocking shots, because that was a huge part of their game and win yesterday.
18 block shots by defensemen, 6 from McAvoy, as you were. Go on.
Yeah, and McAvoy leading the charge in that, but the pairing of McAvoy and Aspero, is it Aspero?
Aspero, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I stumbled over that for a second. But I think McAvoy had 6, Aspero had 4, and leading the charge there when it comes to blocking shots. So I feel like what a thing to do when your body's already been through so much.
I know.
But the buy-in is it's all sacrifice. That's what it takes to get to the next one.
It is, and that is just NHLers. That's why when anybody from any other league that they're covering is winning, taking it all in basketball is hard. I'm like, yes, it's hard, but it's not as hard. No one understands. Nobody gets it. I know football.
The mental to jump in front of a puck that's a minimum of 80 miles per hour half the time.
Broken knee and whatever. Yeah. And this is just game 2, girl. They've got to play so many.
They got a way to go.
If they want to go all the way.
Hampus Lindholm with 4 block shots also, by the way.
Shout out Hampus Lindholm. Guys, we got to be back. We're going to be back to wrap up the show. It's our special editions of Hockey Hub throughout the Bruins postseason. We'll be right back after this. Welcome back to the Hockey Hub. Just a reminder, tomorrow, Bruins Face Off Live starts at 6 o'clock. Puck Drop is at 7. We've got the hour pregame show for you guys, as we do every single Bruins game. But what's different this playoff series, Kasey, is that we're going to do Hockey Hub, special Hockey Hub shows after every game, from wherever it is. If it's at home, which it's going to be for the next 2 days, it's going to be from wherever they're practicing. If it's on the road, it's going to be from Buffalo. So Friday, there's going to be another special edition. Stay with us. You are not taking a break. You're not going to be on the shows, though, because you're going to be really busy doing other stuff. Just remind people where they can see your content.
The digital aspect of everything, all of the coverage that we're bringing to you guys to get more behind-the-scenes looks. We'll have takeaways from what's going on at practice or morning skate, and then also hopefully some good one-on-ones with some of the guys. Get some different perspectives. We already had one with Viktor Arvidsson before the series kicked off to kind of learn about his chemistry with this second line. So make sure that you stay tuned across all social media platforms at NESN. Nice, simple, and easy pre- and post-game preview. And we always like to hear from you, the fans.
Yes, so they can comment, feedback, ask questions, whatever,
all
right?
All things, yeah.
Okay, yeah. So I'll be on the desk in the pods, not the pod. This is a dating show on the podcast. Imagine.
Could be in the pods.
We're not doing that. We're not doing dating pods.
Sophia on the desk.
Sophia on the desk, not in the pods. Guys, bring your energy, bring the life. I know you will. I'm so excited to hear the Rockin' Garden tomorrow for Game 3. Series is tied at 1 apiece. We'll see you at 6 o'clock for pregame. See you then.